The most thought-provoking hour of the day, dropping jewels and nuggets for the next 60 minutes. For us, by us. You're listening to the Hold Your Point podcast.
What up, man? This is the Hold Your Point podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
We back.
Wherever we catch y'all at, man, we back. It's another tantalizing Tuesday. Again, this is the Hold Your Point podcast, and we are the Hold Your Point crew. And man, we ready to tap in, man. We got DJ, and the DJ changed his name on here every week. We got Michael Joseph in the building. We got DTH. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, boys?
Fortunato. Chilling, man. How the week's been treating y'all, man? It's been a little while since we tapped in last week. Last week was powerful. We're not gonna go back to last week, but boy, last week was good.
Yeah, man. The brother from Soul, Eric, shut it down. Like I said, so much goodness in that. But this week was cool, man. And just to let you know, DJ is an initial. So I'm DJ. I could be Darryl James, however you want to say it, man. But yeah, the week's cool, man. Just a little busy. But y'all know I prefer to be busy than not busy. So yeah, man, just getting to it. Every day is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. I hear that.
That's what's up, man. I'm here. Good to see everybody. What's going on, man? Not much, right? That's what Marvin Gaye was trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure that out too. But everything is copacetic, as I like to say. Still on the land of the living. Got to give God the praise for His blessings on my life, man. I can't really complain about too much, but
yeah,
good to see everybody.
You like the shirt game, man? Show off the shirt, man.
You like that?
Watson?
You like it?
Yeah.
It's a
sexual
little
chocolate.
sexual chocolate. Yeah, exactly.
Sexual chocolate.
This man is
Randy Watson.
The man is a legend.
Yeah.
Where you get that from?
It's a website called donkeytees.com.
Oh, you just giving out the juice. You ain't supposed to give to him.
Hey,
you're right.
It's fresh, man. I'm trying to get one.
Yeah, they make like little funny tees and stuff like that. So
what is it? Donkey what?
Tees. Like t-shirts.
Donkey Tees. DonkeyTees.com. Shout out to Donkey Tees, man.
Yeah, man.
And that Hold Your Point shirt, I like that. Represent
this ain't come from Donkey Tees, you know what I'm saying? Just a little like marketing work, man. But yeah,
man, show it off.
Mike, man, how the week been, man? What's going on, man?
Mike's week been all right, man. Can't complain. Like DJ said, been blessed. So this is what it is.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Well, I like I said, last week was pretty insightful, man, and I've been sharing with with folks I've been able to speak with just on like some of that what we went through, man, and just real deal talking about that confirmation. That confirmation really stuck with me the most, and so. Hey, man, just walking in your purpose. When you find purpose, man, do something. It don't matter what it is. Just get up and do something. And then, everything else will start falling in place.
Mm-hmm.
But,
facts.
As we all know, man, it's been in the news as of late for a little bit now. What's been happening with the shooting in Buffalo. And, that's crazy. We're not finna, veer into that too much. As y'all know, man, on podcast we talk about Black perspective and culture from the biblical lens and Christian, millennial perspective, all that good stuff. But we just wanted to touch on this real quick because our topic this evening is: are we living our ancestors' wildest dreams? Right? And it's so crazy. Like when this topic came to play, like. This event happened, just almost right after. And it's like, what y'all, I don't know if y'all seen the video. I mean, like, I wouldn't sharing it, but it's just like, it's wild. And it's the fact that, like, it never got taken down. It just stayed up. Like, I mean, it has sensitivity advisors, but yeah, it's still up. I don't think it's down yet.
I haven't seen it at all. Honestly, I don't really have any desire to check it out. It's probably pretty, gruesome stuff, but it's it's depressing, man, because it just seems like these things there's no end to it, really. So there will be a shooting, everyone will be up in arms about it. There'll be debates about, we need to take guns away, and other people will say, no, we need more guns. That debate happens for a little while. Time passes and it dies down, and then no one really cares again. And so, there's no really headway being made on these types of issues. And then until the next one comes again, and then the discussion starts all over again. And you'll see people on CNN, Fox News, all the news outlets, showing how sad they are, and this is such a tragic moment, and blah blah blah. But then nothing really gets done, And unfortunately, it's really sad that anyone has to lose their life or be the victim of violence like this, and but especially as Black folks, we're talking about Buffalo specifically. It's very upsetting. This young man, went out of his way to go do what he did, and
Yeah, it's crazy.
he had malintent, and he has to go through the justice system. But I'm sure, a lot of people wish they could take care of him themselves. But it's just it's a tough thing to deal with, and to live knowing that that people can just. There's not really much you can do to stop it. People could just do whatever they want.
Yeah, man, it's sad. I mean, I personally haven't seen the video. Just even thinking about it or hearing about it from the commentaries and the interviews. But it's crazy because we talk about it. It's like, can we take away guns? Get rid of guns and everything like that. It's not only guns, because in some countries, people use them. Their bodies as the weapons. You have people that are willing to literally. They believe them sacrificing themselves in the middle of a mall, taking out mass amount of people, is the way of life. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily a gun that they're using, but it's still it's a mass killing. So, mass killings is going to happen. To answer the question, are we living our ancestors? It's just, it's an ongoing cycle. It's sad to say it's an ongoing cycle, and that's just the way the world is, and it shouldn't be that way, but it's what it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw the video, and it's like it's definitely no good stuff. And the fact that he had the N word written on his barrel, you know what I'm saying, and he literally, like DTA said, drove 2-3 hours away to a predominantly Black neighborhood, and spared the life of a Caucasian male that was there, and literally kept on going and finding other people. It's ridiculous. But I mean, to kind of veer into our topic a little bit, just going back, not even we're gonna go back a few layers, but just as recently as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, these types of political leaders, or not even just political leaders, but just leaders, period, that we've seen come before us. Do y'all think that they would be satisfied with where we've taken the baton and carried it to at this point?
What y'all think?
Yes and no. I believe that there's progress that was made, but there's a lot of disappointment that we've also done as to them as well. That because the fact that there's a lot more equal rights, there's a lot more equality among us, but there's still hatred in a different type of form. So it's just another way to tackle hatred that
Yeah, I mean, I'll say in terms of if you're talking about MLK, 100% he'll be satisfied and happy because, I mean, the things that my man went through and he was fighting for, I mean, literally he had his porch blown up on his house. He had people that tried to probably or tried to stab him. I mean, all sorts of things just for these peaceful protests. So I would say 100% he will be satisfied with the progress that he helpmate, he gave his life for, and a bunch of others. He's just, the one that's been on the, on the forefront of things. But, 100%, I think, you know, he'll be happy, and other leaders back then will be happy with the progress that was made. And they know, like, and I think they know, like, things will never be where we wanted to be for whatever reason. Honestly, I was having a talk with Jay, and I was just like, I wish I could talk to, some of the folks back in the 1700s and just be like, what happened, because something had to have happened for white folks to, or yeah, to not like people of color. Like, what started this? How did this come about? I just wish, like, I can understand it better, because the whole, I'm not liking you because your skin is dark. It just baffles me. It doesn't make sense.
I'm I'm not so sure, man. I don't know that Dr. King or Malcolm X would be too satisfied with where we are. Have we made progress? There's no doubt. Everyone can see that. But on the other hand, I think if they could see how economically, probably primarily, how black people are more or less in a stagnant state when it comes to their economic condition. Because I think really, you know, pushing for the rights to vote, fair housing, and these kind of things is almost as you said, DJ. You can't change people's hearts, right? Like that's not something they could have done. Only Jesus can do that. And so I don't think they were looking for people's hearts to change as much as they wanted the economic conditions of black families to be improved because again, people are doing better. I'm not going to say they're not. Certainly, I'm not trying to imply that my situation has been poor because it hasn't. But there's a whole host of folks in these urban areas who just are in a state of poverty, really. And you know, Dr. King, I think, as we all saw, was kind of more diplomatic in his approach and how he communicated with folks. Brother Malcolm, I don't think he'd be satisfied. I don't think he'd be
Yeah,
satisfied.
yeah,
And even,
yeah.
you know, towards the end of Dr. King's life, of course, he was still pushing for peace and everything, but he, even himself, there was signs that he was almost leaning a little bit Malcolm's way in terms of, because he just saw the uh, intransitiveness, if I could say that, of some of the white folks who just were not willing to let go of their hold over the power that they had and not allowing black people in to a fair shot. So, you know, I don't think either of them would be too impressed, actually.
Yeah, I mean, just given the situations and circumstances that we still seeing happening today in 2022, like a lot of it has just been pacified, and a lot of it is just if it's not pacified, it's justified, whether it's mental illness or gun control, and it's not necessarily either one of those things. It's a lack of control of domestic terrorism and identifying where it occurs from on a regular basis. So to those extents, and then even thinking about like the amount of work that they did in their like
Yeah,
30s by the
yeah.
time they was like, compared to like
Hmm.
where some of us are now, like a lot of us,
Yeah.
have a lot of, when I say a lot of us in our generation, and especially the generation after us, has like this sense of entitlement. And it's like,
Hmm.
if you're not giving it to them, they not finna go out there and work for it. And then even in like, I don't know if y'all experience it, but it's in certain segments too. Like even working, like you got to kind of train people to grow up, like coach them to become adults, even on the job, to handle situations better. And it's like they don't come prepared with that same skill sets that they would have done, a few years ago. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say all people are like that. But there's just power in when your back is against the wall and there's nowhere to go, man, and you got no choice but to push up, man. So there's power in that. So that's why I love going to other countries to experience that, where you get you get more of a like understanding, like how can I complain, how can I neglect the opportunity that I have in this country. Like, when I went to Colombia, I'll see like little dudes like 8 years old hustling, trying to make money for their family, and it's just like,
Wow.
bro, I'm complaining about a job that's paying me, what I'm saying, X amount of money, and weekends off, 401k, what I'm saying, potlucks. Like, how
The
can you
health
complain?
benefits.
Health benefits. Come on, man. I mean, like,
Yeah.
how could you complain about that, man? So like, we just gotta. It's just a sad thing, but people are just because they don't have to physically wake up and they don't have it like the guys back in the day where they have the dogs running after them. So I think just not having that, it's so sad to say, man, just not having that behind you, pushing you to be better. You just
It's comfort.
relying on the government. A lot of people in poverty, they just rely on the government. The food stamps kicking in. And I know y'all burning, but
Nah, you
but
good.
yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, and because I got a couple questions too, and then not to live on that point too long, but I work in affordable housing. Like, I run the compliance department for an affordable housing, like, consulting group, and it's like the levels of, especially since COVID, like, because like these emergency programs have been like implemented for COVID, like people like expect you to take care of them. And
Yeah.
it's like, I understand, like, sometimes, like, if you're in a tight spot, things go, whatever, like, everyone needs help sometimes, but some people like expect you, like, when are you gonna get this done? Paying my rent for the last 4 months. like
Yeah.
what are you doing to enable yourself to do better? And so, I wanted to ask y'all real quick though, as we go ahead, my bad, Mike.
No, I was gonna touch on it real quick. It's just basically like I think that I'm not trying to be like you know racist. I'm talking about money wise. When I say it like this, I feel like we've been conditioned to do that and expect that. Look when COVID had, like, there's so much people literally got off their jobs and they're working at Burger King, and they know their homeboy getting like 2 times what they're making
Stimulus check.
through
Staying at
through
home.
their stimulus check, and like,
Yeah.
my boss cussing me out, and I'm sitting, my homeboy sitting there playing video games, like, and he ain't got to do. So it's at the end of the day, it's like with all these government assistant programs, and not to say that it's not helping, but the thing is, what it is like it's free money that's being handed out, and when it's handed out, it's all going back to the rich. If you understand what I'm saying, it's not staying in our community as Black people. It's going back to the rich man, because it's like a loan shark. You're gonna continue, because if you ain't have it the first time to open the house or a mortgage, what makes you gonna think you're gonna be able to keep up that mortgage or that rent? You know what I'm saying? So
That's a good point. Yeah.
it's and then therefore it's you got to think about it. Like, I'm not trying to call out my president, but most presidents out there have their hand into a government funded thing where it's all gonna just come back into them. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
And us as Black people is like, that's free money, but it's not. It's not. It's actually hurting us as a community.
So, in respect to the topic being like, are we making are we our ancestors' wildest dreams, right? Do y'all know who y'all are for real? Like, I've been, I didn't want to give y'all this one ahead of time, because I would hope by now some of us know like our history a little bit. Like, do y'all know about your family's history?
You mean, am I from Nigeria or Angola?
Yeah, like how far can you trace it back?
I don't know none of that, to be honest. I don't know.
I actually trace back the name, my last name, and it's German. I don't understand how German comes into play, but that's the origin.
I go as far back as my grandparents, man. My grandparents are from Jamaica and St. Lucia and India, right? That's
Where are they from?
So, that's where they from.
know where their family's from. That, yeah, I guess you know.
Hey, I draw the line at grandparents. To me, I think anything above. I was never too keen on folks who are like, oh, I'm 3% Swiss. And like, come on, man, you tracing every little thing.
Yeah.
Look, grandparents for me is where it kind of it tails off.
You draw it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all trace back to Africa, right? You know, that's
Yeah.
the motherland. And, you know, of course, we
Do we, though?
migrated to different islands and, you know, different things like that. But no, I mean, but if you really want to dig deep on it, you know, these are just the bodies. You know, we what we really are is the light, God. You know,
There you
that's
go.
really where we come from is God. You know, these you know, say these are rentals. This is just what allows us access on this earth. You know, so if you want to get deep,
So I want to say that I am ashamed that these brothers don't know a little bit more about their family history. But you know,
Tell us something, man. Tell us.
well, I mean, so I had, you know, a conversation like, you know, with my grandmother a couple times, just kind of tracing a little history back. And like, you know, she, as far as she can, you know, advise me, like her mother was an Indian native to the land of St. Lucia. So, you know, I was checking to see, okay, well, which, you know, Indian tribes were native. And I think the Carib Indians were the ones who continued on
Yeah.
from that point. So her mother was native to the land, and then her father's father is from East Africa, like directly. And the thing is, like with that,
you ain't
is
said nothing. We ain't just say. We just said India and Africa. What are you talking
well,
about?
but I mean, but the
That
thing
man
is
said
though, like
ancestors.com.
there's two. Well, there's a couple different things with that, right? So like my great grandmother, who is native Indian, died a Catholic, which doesn't make sense to me. That obviously points to colonization and the British coming in and bringing in religion and everything else.
Mhm.
And then my great grandfather, who would have been East African, was Seventh Day Adventist and knew of the Sabbath. And this had to be probably maybe early 1900s, late 1800s. So if he had it, I'm sure his father probably had it. And it's just, you know, kind of thinking back, like, man, like people really been carrying the Sabbath for real, like, you know, for a while, coming down the line. So that's one point I was thinking about. And then the other thing I was thinking about too is that, like, for most of us, like our ancestry, like goes through the Caribbean, right? And I know for my side, like my family owned like a large portion of the island originally, but a lot of it was lost because of neglect to paperwork. They couldn't, you know, prove claims and stuff in the city, and everybody, the big companies came in and just built over places, and so everybody got left with fragments. So that's one of the things I was wanted to ask, like just thinking about like some of the things that, you know, they had, like where they had land for real, and you know, like just different types of things. I mean, maybe like not to a point where we have all these luxuries, but they had an abundance of resources. And then when we look at it now, where it's like if they came into our lifetime, it's like, well, where's the land? Like this all you got? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like comparing to like those people who, like, you know, probably like was like real pioneers, like, you know, where do you think they would be seeing us right now?
I think it's they would it's kind of interesting because, as you said, some of the technological advances that we have now, like I don't think they could even imagine some of the things we're able to do and what certain devices are and what to do with them. So in one sense, you kind of look at it like you may think we have things better, but from their perspective, like you said, they'd be like, well, where's your land? Where's your garden at? No, who knows how to garden, right? Not a lot of folks are doing that and raising or growing their own food and things like that. And we don't really own property and resources to the degree that a lot of those folks did. So, you know, in that respect, I don't think you can say that we're living our ancestors' wildest dreams. And I would even, I mean, I have another angle I want to go with it as well, but I'll wait for that a little bit. But that's one aspect. What I would say, we're
Go
not
with it.
We're not there. You sure? Because I mean, it
Go
kind of
with it.
goes another way, but I think the biggest thing, honestly, the reason why I like this topic is because I feel like so many younger, African American folks these days will use that phraseology. I'm living my ancestors' wildest dreams, and I'm not here to say those specific individuals aren't. Maybe they are, but when you look at it as a whole, they're the things that they're thinking about, I feel, are more temporal and what's the word? Not things that are the most important. So, for example, I'll see that a
Temporary.
lot of times. Yeah, well, I'll see that a lot of times when people graduate with their masters or their PhD, and they have their little kente stole, and and it's like living my ancestors' wildest dreams. Like they could never imagine going to school, getting education. And I'm not here to say that those things aren't true, because yeah, they didn't have access, they couldn't read, right? It was against the law for them to read, and they were slaves, a lot of folks, right? So that's true. But there are a whole host of issues that black people are still facing today. And honestly, I feel that they're self-inflicted, a lot of it. And so you think about marriage rates, okay? Because the
Mm.
building block of society is the family, right? You need
Mhm.
Come on
strong
now.
families to build societies. And
Yeah.
the black family particularly is is almost non-existent, especially in the United States, right? Uh, people, I think it's 1 in every 4 women, black women, gets married. 25% will get married. And then you look at the divorce rates, as high as they are. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're more educated, we're maybe making a little bit more money, but where are the values at? Like the things that people are thinking are important to them, Instagram, Facebook, and just trying to show out for social media. Like, where are the values? To me, I think
Mhm.
there's a lack of that. And to say that you're ahead of what your ancestors did, like, I just don't see it personally. I think there's a lot of ground to be made up. But really, I think people's their priorities are in the wrong place, honestly.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot of instant gratification that has a lot to do with it. It's a lot of participation awards that got a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? You come in last place, everybody gets a ribbon. Like
Foolishness.
yeah, it shouldn't be that way, man. But
Foolishness.
do y'all think do y'all also think like generational curses are real?
I think
Mm.
so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that's biblical, right? I believe
Yeah.
it
I
is.
I think so. I think so. Um, I mean, I would say generational curses and blessings, because sometimes you can get you get favored too, just based on. I will never forget this podcast I was listening to. Brother named Derek Grace. Y'all heard of him, right? He's a cat with the tattoos on his face. Um, but anyway, so he was talking about. I guess he got into a little altercation with his baby mom's family or whatever, right? In which the cops came, and I think he actually shot somebody. But so the cops was roughing him up and doing whatever, and then they realized who his father was, and then they start roughing him up. They actually even provided grace. Ironically, they gave him grace because he had a car that wasn't registered. So they told him, they said, "Hey, look, call. Can you call somebody to come pick up your car?" And just treating him so nice, and all because they found out his father was also an ex-cop, right? And his grandfather was a cop that laid a lot of groundwork, I guess, in the city of Tampa, right? So it's just knowing who your father is could either make you or break you, right? And obviously the same thing can be said for those who fathers wasn't so good. I can touch back on to when the people of Israel was coming out of Egypt, right?
Mhm.
God had them in the wilderness for 40, was it 40 years? in the wilderness for 40
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
and I just found out that actually the journey could have they could have got there like within a week.
Way quicker. Yeah, yeah. Isn't that
which,
Wait,
crazy?
which
what?
which
Yeah,
is
you
which
gotta
is
elaborate.
hey, so what God wanted to do, there was a bunch of what they call the military age men. What he wanted to do, but since they was keep talking ill against God, he wanted to pretty much did he wanted to kill them in the forest, and he didn't want to bring them to the land of milk and honey, right? So, but I was looking at it like, well, okay, you wanted to get rid of them, God, but what about the young people up under them? They got to be in the forest suffering with them too. So now they have to suffer the consequences of those guys, and now they have to be dwelling in the forest. So it can go either way, man. So 100%, our forefathers can either help us or break or hurt us.
Yeah, and then even in Ten Commandments, visiting the iniquity upon the children of to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy to them that love me. So that's definitely a possibility and a probability. But along with that, I would just like to add not to use these things as excuses, because I find that people love to make excuses. That's something people. I mean, I think it's human nature, right? Like I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but you don't want to take blame. You don't want to be held accountable for things because it doesn't feel good, right? But I honestly believe you shouldn't use these things as an excuse. Well, my forefathers did this, and that's why I'm in this position. Like, okay, that may be true. Now go do better, right? Like that's all there is to it. I guess the message I want to convey to make sure that people run with is the world doesn't owe you forgiveness. The world doesn't owe you anything. No one owes you anything. Okay, your situation may be less than ideal, it may be regrettable, and it may not be your fault. Make something out of it. You got to do what you got to do with what you have. So sitting around complaining and saying this was done to me, there's nothing I can
Woe
do
is
about it.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, what I mean, where is that really going to get you? Like, you can only be
I mean,
sad for so long.
Well, I
yeah,
mean, to
and
elaborate.
go
No,
ahead,
real
go ahead.
quick, yeah, just elaborate on what DTA says. There's a there's a there's an example of a guy who cannot stand alcohol because of the fact that his dad was a straight alcoholic. Now he said he could have took the route where he's like, all right,
Hmm.
his dad drank whiskey and moonshine and his whatever, and now I come home, I see my dad drinking liquor all the time. He could have kept that tradition, but he cannot stand alcohol. And I'm saying that in a sense, as he says, there's generational curses. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it can stop with you. It depends on you as a person because it's got to stop somewhere, and it comes with with uh you making that first step and understanding that, hey, I'm gonna stop it, or you're gonna continue it. You have that choice.
It's a great point.
Now, there's a there's a Bible verse that says something like, the generations that come before will be forgotten, something like that to a certain degree. And so I wanted to ask y'all, like, how important do y'all think, leaving a legacy behind is? Because I mean, if if the word says that there's generations that'll be forgotten, and then when you look at it, like there was, scientists or facts, I guess fact finding has found that there was like 7 species of humankind at one point, and now there's only Homo sapiens. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to go with that theory, David DTH got turned up a little bit, but or even just the fact of like ancient cultures who were here before who may have thrived that we have like really no idea now, versus I mean they can find fragments, but you really don't like know the legacy that some of those people left behind. So
Right.
like in that regard, like how important do y'all think like legacy is? I mean,
I mean, legacy is everything. Leaving your legacy, leaving your mark on this earth is honestly is I think what you're supposed to do. Because if you come here and you don't you just kind of just live a normal life and just take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just do the same thing day in, day out. God probably looking at you like, you know what I'm saying, there's a hand on his head, just thinking like, you know, I gave you all the skills, I gave you me inside of you, and you couldn't come and leave your mark on this earth. You know what I'm saying? It's yeah, legacy is important. We have to come here to this earth and do what it is that we're supposed to do.
Well,
Go ahead, man.
I mean, just to throw like a zinger in there, I mean, Solomon also said that all under the sun is vanity, right?
Yep.
So,
All of
I
it.
mean, we consider legacy, and sometimes when you think of legacy, you think of like Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye,
Bob Marley.
Nelson Mandela. I'm just thinking about, you know, people who come and gone and like what you remember them for. But I mean, now like just considering it, like I don't think like legacy, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's really like about like the awards and the accolades that you achieve, but it should be more so of how you impact people, how you touch people. And that doesn't necessarily get celebrated at the end with, you know, a big party and everybody remembering and talking about you forever. But even if it's just one person that, you know, that you impacted, I think that's more so a legacy, because everything else gets forgotten. But that impact that you can do to that one person can probably, you know, cause a chain reaction to affect many other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Because how many, look at the top 75 NBA players the other day. All those older folks from the black and white era, nobody really cares, and everyone actually thinks they're not really that good, to be honest, right? But if they were really impactful, people will remember, oh, I remember watching him and the way he played. They don't remember the numbers and stuff like that. Those are superficial, surface level. But it's the impact they have on the people, how they made them feel. Because I think there's a saying that goes, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them
How
feel.
you make them feel.
So, and I'm so glad you brought up that vanity verse in, I believe it's in Ecclesiastes somewhere, that all is vanity, right? I mean, when you really, really think about it, sometimes the hustle, I think, is a bit extra, a bit unneeded, man, because really, you know, we're here for a short time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're here to spread the gospel. That's our number one mission as Christians. And while we're here, enjoy life, right? God put us here to have a good life as much as possible, but chasing after, you know, things that are going to go away, it really, really doesn't matter. And I think that's something, especially younger folks, again, not to pick on them, but I think that's something younger folks can focus on a bit more and learn a bit more. Like, these things are going to go away at some point. You can't take anything with you to the grave. You gotta focus on what's important.
Yo, I feel you, bro, but I'm such a competitor, man. I already know, like, the things that I'm gonna acquire is not gonna be, you know, somebody else gonna take advantage of it. But nah, I just want my little ones to be like, man, Grandpa got it. You know what I'm saying? He went out here and he did what he was supposed to do, and now, you know what I'm saying, we can reap the blessings from. Just same thing like MLK. You know, he realized, like, I'm not gonna be here, but I'm gonna leave my legacy on this earth. I'm gonna make sure that with everything in me, that I'm gonna create change for the people behind me, right? And that, yo, we can't say like, you know what I'm saying, that's vanity, blah 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 blah, whatever. No, we needed him. We needed
Well,
him to do that.
What not? Well,
as
I think
long hold your point. As long as it's what you're saying, DJ, because as you said, MLK, Mr. Malcolm, Brother Malcolm, they impacted people's lives. You know what I'm saying? So that's 100%. I agree with you there. I guess I'm more, when I was saying is more so speaking of, you know, that personal gain, because whatever you try to do for yourself, ultimately, it's not going to really benefit a whole lot of people. The benefit, the blessings, the glory is in, and again, it's glory that's going to God, not for yourself. But It's in impacting people, blessing people, because as Fortunato said, that can create a domino effect. You know what I'm saying? And future generations are now blessed because of what you did. Like Abraham. Abraham had faith. And because of him, he's the father of faith. Look how many other people follow his direction, right? So that's what I was getting at.
And then even with that too, like on the flip side, because you know, I'm quoting verse. I should have wrote down my verses today, but you know, it says like where where pretty much like if the father does something wrong, then the children will be right there to kind of suck from the fruit or something like that to that degree. But it's just like, you know, if you lead incorrectly as
Wait,
well.
how the verse go again?
You're gonna say it a different way this time.
Yeah, it's just pretty much like, you know, whatever you reap, whatever you sow, your children will reap. Pretty much, that's what it's pretty much saying. And so it's like, I think it goes both ways, because if you do the, you know, negative things, like you'll have a shame over you forever. Like, you know, descendants of Hitler will probably always have a mark over them, like, or stain, like, regardless of how much of a great person they are, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're
100%.
descendants of.
That's for sure, man. Because even there's folks who work in certain industries that are illicit, and you know they talk about the issues they have with moving past it. Like they did it for a time, the money was fast and really good, and now they want to get out of it, and they regret it. But you know, when you put certain things online, I mean, really anything you put online is going to be there forever. And it's, you know, if you have a child later on, you know, that kid is going to get picked on like crazy. It's going to be such a terrible time for them to get along with school and everything. And that's all because of what their parents did.
I'm waiting to see how Lord Northwest do when you know the child is old enough to watch these Kardashian tapes.
Did you see there was something? You see there was something the other day where I think he was, or one of her kids was playing a game, and like an advertisement came up about her with Ray J from the past, and he showed the mom, and she was all distraught.
And she was like, luckily he can't read yet or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like that's
People don't be thinking about that, man. They just think about, you know what I'm saying, the here and now. But hey, I guess you got it. Whatever it takes to be number one. Tell me what it takes to be number one.
There you go, man.
Hey,
I definitely
that's what it took.
I definitely think it's a domino effect, man. Because you know, with that saying, I'm probably gonna butcher the quote, but it says that we're supposed to be 10 times better than our parents were. So with that following, if you have kids and you leave, because even you hear it, even in the Bible, everybody's dressed as a son of Sam, son of Joseph. You know what I'm saying? So these are people that have already set a mark in the world. So therefore, if you have a domino effect where you're building, you know, something up for your kids, and after that, they're gonna feel it, whether it's a good life or a bad life. And the fact that, you know what I'm saying, and it's crazy because, you know, we're all out here trying to live our own life, not knowing that there's others looking up to us. Whether you have children or not, you have aunts, uncles, something, like you have somebody that is looking up to that's a younger generation. So you just got to set the tone.
So like, why do y'all, I mean, we know the answer to this question is, but like, what do y'all think the impact is, right? Going back to the example I was giving of like just the origins and stuff, where like the religious aspect of it, or this, I wouldn't even say religious. I'm not gonna say Christian, and I'm not gonna say religious no more. We're gonna get to that at another point. But the spiritual aspect of it being the Sabbath piece coming down from like the lineage 1800s, 1900s, all the way down to, you know, today, where it's still being felt. But like the financial, the economical pieces of it got lost, and you know, it's fragmented, and it's just bits and pieces, and we don't really have, like, what do y'all think that real impact is for real?
Re-say that question again. I didn't get it.
I mean, what do y'all think the impact is of us not like having the resources that we should have, like our counterparts? Because it's like, you know, a lot of adults that's in their 30s that might be, you know, Caucasian, for I mean, just putting it. Let's keep it 100. They're gonna come with usually some kind of financial support. Whether that is continuously flowing or it was established from a child, what have you, it's just always set up a little bit better for the other side versus than us. And it's not to say that our people didn't have things, but it was always like either taken, lost, or somehow it's just, we don't have the same things that they had before.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Let me go. So I'm gonna say, certainly, Black folks have had a hard time, that's to say it lightly, in this country, with free labor for centuries and being behind the 8 ball, so to speak. But at the same time, there has been, I think, a lack in instruction in some of these financial and economic principles, as you were saying. And I think what the impact is really is that we're not able to impact lives and spread the gospel as efficiently and as powerfully as we probably should. And so, because when you look at families don't have the finances to support the churches like they want to. And in turn, the churches can't do the programs and put on the outreach and the services to impact the community the way they want to. And I'm thinking more so really specifically like our kind of strain, right, that we follow, with just a lot of us are not really there in that position to really do these things. So while we do the best that we can, and obviously God will help you increase and do what you can, but had we had some of these foundational principles and understanding and wisdom to really put things into practice and make an impact, I think we could see much more progress than where we are at today.
Yeah, I mean, because even like if we look at, like, as you said that point, it just made me think of like, if we just take the history of the church, right? We're talking about like our own individual ancestors, but taking like the ancestry of the church, like compared to other denominations, like these denominations, like they for lack of better words, click up. So like when one person wants to start a church somewhere, there's a pool of money already allotted, and they just have to make sure that XYZ is being met, and they'll have funding from whatever this denomination is, and so you can go and build. But it's like with and it's not even just Church of God Seventh Day. I can't even say Seventh Day Adventist because I done seen some big places, but Church of God Seventh Day. Looking at our people, it's always been fragments. Like there's always been, and I think that's a whole nother animal by itself.
That's
I mean, the thing is, I'm not going to call any specific people, but I would just say, those without, right, those that's not financially stable where they need to be, they just stayed stuck in that scratching and surviving mode, man, and just never actually amplified their way up the totem pole, right? And Fortunato actually brought up something that actually I heard about last week, where a lot of these denominations, like Catholic and just different churches, what they will do, which is so financially sound and smart, they'll put on they'll get life insurance for like an elderly person, and then once they pass away or whatever, then this whole lump sum of money comes to the church. So they will say, instead of her paying her tithes to the church, she's paying her life insurance. Genius, right? But the thing is, just like I said, we're just stuck in that scratching and surviving. We just never think of that. We just not financially sound, man. Financially literate.
And unfortunately, it hasn't always been like that, because going back to like our ancient, communities and on older generations, there was always community. There was always like sharing and making sure that everybody like was putting in work and getting things done. Even going back to the successful Black communities that we had that were either burned down, bombed, drowned or flooded out in so many parts of America. So last question I wanted to ask y'all real quick as we get ready to wrap this up. Do y'all think there's like spiritually, biblically, is there any benefits to us knowing the origins of our people individually? Because and I say that because, and this will probably take us to another level one day, like, you know, there's a division where some folks believe that they're either the children of Israel, descendants of the children of Israel, or they're Gentiles. And so, you know, I think that's another interesting topic we should probably dive into one day. But do y'all think it's important to know the origins of your people, biblically or spiritually?
Let me go real quick. I'll just say, I think it's a nice to know or a nice to have in your toolbox. I wouldn't say it's necessarily essential to your walk with Christ, but can it enhance certain areas of your life and connect you with different types of people? I think for sure. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily essential. But for sure, Fortunato, I think that's a great topic, man. We got to hit up that Gentile Hebrew conversation another time.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to know your history, man. You know, knowing where you came from definitely makes you appreciate where you're going, right? And where you're supposed to go. But I'll agree with DTH. It's not essential. It's not an essential tool. You know, it's just good to know, you know. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, big facts, man. I agree with you guys. You know, just to piggyback, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, you know, because you can create a new path for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's good information, it's vital information, but it's not going to help in the end run.
Well, there you have it, man. I think, and you know, we always have mixed opinions. I think sometimes it's always good to know where you come from to that way navigate to where you're trying to go. And sometimes even searching in the past, you might uncover yourself a pot of gold. So, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
You too, you know, research and understand where you come from, but ultimately know that your relationship with the Most High and the Creator is what's going to lead to salvation and not lead to salvation, man. So this has been the Hold Your Point podcast. We are the Hold Your Point podcast crew. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you find us at, man. Podcast, YouTube, all that.
Please.
You know, we got merch and we got shirts coming, man. We got a lot of good things coming, man. So make sure y'all stay tuned, tap in, and until next time, man, we out of here.
Yeah.